Hi, this is Leif. I'm here to talk about Epicus. And the first song that we hear is obviously Solitude.
I'm sitting here alone in darkness, waiting to be free. Lonely and forlorn, I am crying. I long for my time to come. Death means just life. Please let me die in solitude.
If you ask me, this is Candlemass' signature song, the song that defines us. If you should play one song for a person that never heard the band before, this is it. And like other genre-defining bands like Motorhead, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Black Sabbath and Pentagram, etc., after just a couple of seconds, you hear it's us. A lot of people have also said that this is a track they would like to be played at a funeral. Personally, I don't know about that, but I guess it's an honor anyway if they say this. Speaking about death and funerals, not one but two people have told me that a person very close to them have taken the car out to the woods and shot his head off while listening to Candlemass and Solitude. Not exactly the stuff you want to hear on a night out with your friends. Thanks, mate. Thanks for telling me. Another beer, please. Okay, here's the chorus coming up, a chorus inspired by Venom's Buried Alive. You remember the intro with the priest and stuff. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it was close that Solitude never happened. I was writing on another song that later would become Samaritan, but our drummer hated the riff, called it too simple and childish, so I had to come up with something else, and that was Solitude. To be honest, I wasn't sure Solitude was a hit or should be the opening track on the album. I wanted the opener to be Demon's Gate instead. But it was a drummer again that insisted on Solitude. I guess he was right. It was and is the perfect start for Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus. In the 80s we often played Solitude early in the set. Today it is the only really suitable end to a Candlemass show. People sing their throats off and every hand is in the air. At Wacken last summer it was fucking magic. 30,000 people were singing and shouting and cheering and we had goosebumps. A moment I would never forget. In the best Doom song lists, Solitude is always number one.
solitude. Beyond the nightmares I met my fate. An ancient passage surrounded by hate. Scared I was, but with a hand on my cross, I went into the demon's gate.
This is probably my favorite track on Epicus. I love the long intro, the chords that I worked on for weeks and weeks. They work great with the drums and build up to the evil negative riff that is Demon's Gate. And also perhaps the best track on the album. If you ask me anyway. I really like the riff. It's complex, almost sounds like it's played backwards, and the drums are just perfect with the hi-hat beat, and it leads into the verse that Johan sings in his characteristic way. To hear his voice on this track always sends chills down my spine. Okay, here it comes. First verse. The verse is an E, but what note to land on? After trying all the notes in the alphabet, I went for a D. Well, in our tuning, of course. In Candlemass, we don't care about our tuning. If it's the 5th fret on the A string, it's a D. It doesn't matter if you tune in C, B, E or A. The 5th fret on the A string is always a D. Okay, here's the chorus, Approach the Ibon, obviously inspired by Fulci's masterpiece The Beyond. The entire band loved the film, so I had to write a song based on it. Europe did Seven Doors Hotel, and I did Demon's Gate. On the back cover of the album you can see Eric Larnoy's painting, and if you haven't already guessed it, it's a painting based on Demon's Gate. I hated it when I first saw it, but over the years I have grown, well, used to it. Too much pink. We really dug Eric Larnoy's paintings for Manila Roads, Open the Gates and The Deluge, and wanted one for ourselves. That's one of the reasons we sent a tape to Black Dragon to begin with. And of course we were huge fans of Manila Road's music. So, a year earlier in 1985, the first Candlemass demo was sent to Paris to Black Dragon Records. It was Crystal Ball, Into the Unfathomed Tower, A Sorcerer's Pledge and Warchild. The Frenchies loved it, but wanted to hear more. So, we went into the studio again. This time to record 2 new songs, Demon's Gate and Blackstone Wielder. They thought the tracks were amazing and offered us a deal. And this is, by the way, Claes Bergvall on guitar. We didn't have a lead guitar player at the time, so Claes helped us out. Did a fine job, I think. We had tried lots and lots of people, but either we didn't like them or they didn't like us. I went to Claes' house a couple of times before the recording to work with him on the solos, and I liked the result. And of course we asked Claes to join the band several times, but he had his own band, a band called Arrow. And I actually met Claes at the recent anniversary show in Stockholm, and he looked pretty much the same. It was good to see him again. This is Mats Ekström's big moment here. Boy, he worked on those fills and rolls, but they sound just great. Also, Mats is of course responsible for the level of the drums in the mix. We lowered them when he wasn't around or turned his back, but still, some of the loudest drums I have ever heard on a record. Mats was a close friend, but he couldn't be in the band because of his job. He couldn't rehearse that much and he couldn't tour. Too bad. He was a really good drummer. Oh, Crystal Ball. I was expecting Under the Oak. There you go. A song written in 1984, I think. First with me on vocals, but on Epicus with Johan Lundqvist. Johan was never a member of Candlemass, I'm afraid. He had his own band Jonah Hex, after a character in a western book or a comic. I had heard of the band, but Both Candlemass and Jonah Hex were from the northern suburbs of Stockholm. I didn't know them, but apparently our drummer Mats did. He was from the same place, Jakobsberg. So one day, I think it was just a week or so before the recording of Epicus, we haven't found a singer. It was totally impossible. So Mats came to the rehearsal room with his tape Johan was singing, and we loved his voice. But Mats made it very clear from the beginning that Johan would not join Candlemass. A shame, but what could you do? To me and to the rest of the band, including Mats Ekström, it was a big problem. If you sang on the album, you should be a full-time member of the band. I remember us bitching about this for days until we didn't have a choice anymore. I didn't want to sing on the album, we needed a singer, so we had no choice. And we went for a session singer, Johan.
Visions and dreams you can see in the crystal ball. The crystal ball. The crystal ball.
I love his singing on Epicus. His voice suits the song so well. We asked him many times to join the band. We begged him, but I don't think he liked the music so much. Jonah Hex was more melodic hard rock, the style that Johan preferred. I actually saw Johan a couple of times in the late 80s, early 90s. He was driving a cab at night and picked me up outside different clubs in Stockholm. I think we spoke about the album and what he was doing, but it's kind of blurry actually. I'm very happy that we can do these anniversary gigs with him though. I really like the guy and he still sings like a motherfucker. The anniversary show at the Baser in Stockholm December 18 was a total blast. Saturday night, totally sold out. A lot of people couldn't even get in. Robert Lowe did a great job and Johan, he totally blew the roof off the place. Fucking hell. It was almost like the time had been standing still since we recorded that album in that little studio 25 years ago. This is Claes Bergvall again. A nice solo. We really worked on the different parts in it, and it floats rather well, I think. I don't remember what inspired the lyrics, but I have a vague memory of reading The Lord of the Rings, and it could be about Lord Saruman and the Palantirs, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
I've seen it all. Gazed into the crystal ball. Tell me more, I want to know. Please hear my call. Gaze into the crystal. See what it tells. It can bring you one fortune. Do you so well? Visions and dreams you can see in the crystal ball. The crystal ball. The crystal ball.
That counting in Swedish. When we toured with the guys in King Diamond, they told me that they had bought the album thought it was absolutely amazing and that we must be from America, until they heard the count in Swedish. They told me they almost fell backwards. What the fuck? Are these guys Swedish? Can't believe it. And this is the reason we got our first tour. Messiah phoned King up one evening, you know, got hold of King's number in Copenhagen from a friend's friend. The King answered, and when Messiah stuttered, he sings in Candlemass and could we be on the upcoming King Diamond tour in Scandinavia? The King said, yeah, sure. He had actually heard Epicus, loved the stuff and offered us to open up for them on the spot. Incredible. To this day, I'm very thankful to King and Andy. Without their support in those early days, we might not be the famous band Candlemass. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you again. Okay, this is my song, my version of the Three Wise Men and what they were looking for. I worked on the lyrics and music a lot and almost drove my girlfriend, at the time, crazy. A lot of sleepless nights. We had about $2,000 to spend on the recording and mixing of Epicus, and we chose Thunderlord Studios in Stockholm. My friend Yngve Malmsteen recorded a demo there, and so did my earlier band Trilogy. We couldn't afford a better studio, but it worked out fine. Ragnar did a good job in Thunderlord, and so did we. And here comes the chorus. This part, the solemn part. So difficult to play it without fucking up. It's just a whole lot of notes as somebody mixed in a bag and dropped on the floor. We always fuck up on this part. Candlemass music consists of notes, but they come in logical order, I think. Here it's no logic, no sense, no order, just a bunch of random notes. A fucking miracle we could play it in Thunderlord. And as if Glens över sjö och strand wasn't enough, it was bloody cold in the studio. We had to wear long johns and glove in the recording room because the studio was placed below the subway at Universitetet in Stockholm, and we were there in the middle of the winter. Frost came out when we were speaking and breathing, and the recording room was so damp. It was almost impossible to play your guitar or bass or drums. The room was okay though. Ragnar Wahlqvist from Heavy Load, he had heaters there and he sat behind the mixing desks, two 16-channel Hagström PA desks linked together. And sometimes during extra long studio hours, he took his very tight pants off and sat there mixing in long johns and cowboy boots. Quite a sight. You had to pee in a red bucket in a corner, and sometimes we had to wait for the subway train to pass before we could continue working with the overdubs, like on Solitude. And when we were sitting in the mixing room, you could hear the band in the room next door practicing, and they always played Beast of Burden. So fucking annoying. Anyway, This song is maybe the dark horse or the odd one on Epicus, but I like it, and it sounded incredible when we played it live with Johan at the anniversary party. Great stuff. Under the Oak, my other favorite song from Epicus, a song that originally was named In the Shadow of the Cross. I worked on the verse quite a bit and eventually it became Under the Oak. No Candlemass and our history, this is part 4 of Taste of Creation, a saga about the origin of life that I started to write in 1984 and finished 5 years later when we recorded that album. I love Mappy's guitar sound here. I think he used his old white BC Rich and it was plugged into Ragnar's old Marshall amps. He had tons of those, white, grey, red, amps and cabinets that collected dust everywhere in the studio. He also had orange stacks and high watts. Thunderload was a goldmine if you were after that warm, vintage sound of the 70s. Mappy stereo dubbed his guitar with a bit of chorus and that's it. A raw and crunchy but warm guitar tone. Perfect for Candlemass. I don't remember much from these recordings, I must admit. But I think I used an old home-built brown Thunderbird bass that I later painted black. and I think I lined it straight into the desk. I can't say for sure, but I'm almost certain that was the case. Exactly how I do it even today. I like this part, the way Johan sings it.
My heart bleeding for my race. Traces of mankind swept out by the hands of our Lord. I cried for the ones I have lost. Midnight in paradise, away goes my I cried for the ones
Wonderful, so much feeling in Johan singing here. And when he hits these high notes, goosebumps. The guy is such a good singer. I can't speak. This is pure magic. And more is coming. Right now.
Hear my prayers climbing up the clouds above. Silent cry reach the inner heart of truth. Give me a sign.
Here the energy is on top. We're building it up for the chorus. Here it comes.
Crimson sky, blessing my eyes. Up goes the sun, my time has come.
I'm okay with a re-recording of this song on Taser Creation, but this version is so much better. I know a lot of people have this track as their favorite from Epicus. I think that's a really good choice.
Time, oh,
This is actually Johan soundchecking his microphone. But we kept it. It sounds cool and it fits the song, I think. I was standing next to him to guide him through the songs. Johan had been listening to the songs only for a week or so and he wasn't 100% sure about how to sing it. With that in mind, his performance on Epicus is even more admirable.
shadows of death.
And the keyboard you hear in the beginning of the song, we borrowed it from a friend from high school. He couldn't really play on it, but told everybody he was the king of keyboard. But in the studio later, it was clear he didn't know what he was doing, so I think it was me and Ragnar and maybe Matt Ekström who played it on the album. Originally we wanted more keys, proper chords, but had to settle for the one-finger waltz instead. It works, but it sounds just a little bit too amateurish. We wanted this big epic sound landscape here in the beginning of Sorcerer's Pledge. It's such a big song, so I guess we thought a 12-string guitar wasn't enough. But it is. We did it exactly like this at the anniversary show in Stockholm, and it sounded just great. Sometimes less is more. And you should never drench a good song with too many instruments and overdubs. But sometimes you can save a bad song like that, I guess.
1,000 years of midnight, the sunrise is gone.
This part right here always gets the crowd going. Nowadays we often play it last in a set and the crowd always go crazy here. I remember when we played Sorcerer's Pledge at Wacken in 2002, the summer of Doom. I saw an ocean of people getting nuts. It was just getting dark, and from the stage you could see hordes of people that came from the other stages to see us. An incredible memory. This song is about a mad old sorcerer that thinks he can extend his life by drinking young virgin's blood. To me, he's like a cross between Dr. Frankenstein, Dracula and the Wizard Merlin. This is good groove.
Back in the jungles of legend, all the sorcerers so old, cracked the blood of the virgin to be reborn. Soon the tyrants will conquer, so spoke the wise, of the day when the sorcerer will rise.
Mats Ekström had huge problems with his drum playing in Thunderload. The Heavy Load brothers Ragnar and Styrbjörn were recording songs themselves, so they didn't want to move the microphone from Styrbjörn's drum kit over to Mats Ekström's drum kit. So in the end, Mats had to play on Styrbjörn's drums, which wasn't very easy to do. Mats was hitting his drums very hard, you see. So Ragnar ordered him not to hit Styrbjörn's drums so hard, afraid Mats was gonna break something. So Mats couldn't hit the drums like the way he wanted and was used to. They also had steel wire protection around the microphones on Styrbjörn's drum kit, so Mats also had a very limited space to hit on, which made his playing even more difficult. Johan really was on fire here. And here we have more toy keyboards. Yay. I mean, the album is far from perfect. The playing could definitely have been better, and you can hear that it is our first album. But somehow we captured something these weeks we spent in Thunderload in the beginning of 1986. Exactly 25 years ago. We didn't know what we were doing, and our mates in Upplands Väsby hated our music. Kiss, UFO, Thin Lizzy were in fashion. But our music was based on bands like Black Sabbath, Trouble, Angel Witch, Venom, Anvil, Accept, Pentagram, Motörhead and Iron Maiden. We were metalheads and wanted our music to be slow, hard and heavy. Mats Ekström came up with the tag Epic Doom Metal, something that later turned into Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus. A perfect name for the beast that was our first album. Some people laughed at it, some critics gave us bad reviews. But we really didn't care. We didn't really care about that. We knew we had made a fantastic album. And I still remember the feeling when I collected the box with the vinyl from the post office. I was blown away. My first record. A dream had come true. I still have that box, and I still live the dream. And I'm very, very proud of being a part of Candlemass today. I'm also extremely proud of the fact that a bunch of 20-year-old metalheads from the suburbs of Stockholm could do an album like Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus. I love this album.